Hey, okay. What do we got here? What we got here? We need to take a sip of this coffee. Do it every day. And so should you. Understand that this coffee thing, this whole caffeine and everything, well, it's not as bad as for you as they have previously predicted. By the way, this is Lee, the cool guy. I like to think of myself as the new guy since I recovered from somewhat of a major illness a few months back, and it's all good now, okay? So I don't think it's say Lee, the good guy. Because I got a lot of stuff I need to share with you. I refer to my notes, so I may be looking away from time to time. Those who don't read the newspaper are uninformed, and those who do are misinformed. Interesting. I believe somebody really, really famous said that, but if that's even close to being true, that's why you're here at Issues on the Fire, because we want to let you know what's going on the real, okay? There's a lot of misinformation going on out there. There's a lot of fake news. I know this guy running around calling himself the President of the United States is making a big deal out of that, but like a broken clock is correct twice a day, he may have got that one right. And so we're here to do our part to let you know what's going on from a different perspective, an alternative point of view, if you will, from the mainstream media. That said, what do we got? The United States of Madness. That's an interesting topic to discuss, because all of the subtopics underneath it is suicide up, homicide up, police brutality up, mental health issues up, violent crime up, drug abuse way up. And I guess if you look at things that way, the United States is in a state of madness, and I don't see anybody coming up with any solutions for any of these issues. Top of the list, suicide. There's a lot of folks out there taking their lives, and some of them have pretty good lives. Well, on the surface anyway. You think if you're on TV and you got a lot of dough and a big time job and a nice family life, an apartment on the Upper West Side, East Side, either way, you're not doing bad, okay? And you throw it all away, found in the closet hanging from a rope, or you're in Paris, for crying out loud, on a photo shoot, video, documentary of the best foods and wines in the world. If you can't find a way to find happiness out of that, well, you've got issues, and that's what I'm talking about. Mental health issues are on the rise everywhere. It's a global thing. But when you're looking at a space like the United States, where mental health issues is on the rise, and this is probably the most well-armed nation in the world, you mix those two things together, and wow, it's combustible. So I didn't mean to spend that much time on that, but it is what it is. So, I'm here. It's another episode of Issues on the Fire. It's what I do generally 3 to 5 days a week at the website Issues on the Fire. You'll find some copies, some audio podcasts on the regular, keeping you up to speed on what's going on around the world. And I got to focus on the story here in the States, though, with concerns a local politician, California, Maxine Waters, African American, made a name for herself, being in one of the few women that has risen to any position of prominence, political prominence. And she got herself in trouble recently because she made some statements telling, her constituents who she was talking to in I believe it was an ad hoc type of setup. Look, if you see these the president's people out there, policymakers, cabinet members, in public spaces, get in their face, tell them what you think. If you think that their policies are making your lives uncomfortable, some even unlivable, let them know it. Let them know it. And while I actually saw that video, in fact, why don't I just let you see it, and then you can judge for yourself. So I'm going to spend the time to give you some time to take a look at that, and then we'll get back.
We want it done now. We're going to insist on it. If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Already, you have members of your cabinet that are being booed out of restaurants, who have protesters taking up at their house, who's saying no peace, no sleep. No peace, no sleep. And guess what? We're going to win this battle, because while you try and quote the Bible, Jeff Sessions and others, you really don't know the Bible. God is on our side. On the side of the children, on the side of what's right, on the side of what's honorable, on the side of understanding that if we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody. And so let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Pruitt, specifically of the EPA, is a former cabinet member. And that is because this woman approached him in public in a very, very calm, cool, and collected way, and very articulately expressed her displeasure with the way he was running the agency, and how his behavior and his policies were negatively impacting the life of her child, of which she was carrying. You know what? Let me take a moment and let you take a look at the video and see what you think.
Hi. I just wanted to urge you to resign because of what you're doing to the environment in our country. This is my son. He loves animals. He loves clean air. He loves clean water. Meanwhile, you're slashing strong fuel standards for cars and trucks for the benefits of big corporations. You've been paying about $50 a night to stay in a DC condo that's connected to an energy lobbying firm while approving their dirty sands pipeline. We deserve to have somebody at the EPA who actually does protect our environment, somebody who believes in climate change and takes it seriously for the benefit of all of us, including our children. So I would urge you to resign before your scandals push you out.
Because quite frankly, Mr. Pruitt had no explanation. If his policies were receiving that kind of pushback from regular people, if you match that up with the criminal behavior, quite frankly, some of the things that this man was doing and accused of, and the 14 investigations that will go ongoing about, his overreach, security, and expensive $43,000 telephone booths in his office, and having his staff run out, get me this, get me that, come on, I'm the boss around here. And by the way, my wife needs a job, hook her up with a gig, and I'm nothing under 200 grand, you understand? I mean, this guy was literally blatant in his activities, and the fact that he's actually destroying our water supplies. I mean, you can, it's thick as mud, for crying out loud. You could chew the air. At least that's what it'll be like. And forget about the planet. And a lot of the things that this man is doing is, quite frankly, could be irreversible to the environment. Some of the things that are going in the water that we could be ingesting could have irreversible effects, and considering the fact that, well, we don't exactly have health care in this country right now, anything that we can speak of. I'm going to talk about that, for crying out loud, because there's this crazy thing, see, behind the scenes of what's happening at the border. I understand, the humanitarian crisis going on, and the children being separated from their parents, and stuff like that. And the fact that the United States has no way to actually reconnect them to, these families back together again. They broke the system, but they didn't know how to fix it because they had no plan to fix it. So at any rate, that's a big problem. But the whole issue about not having any health care came up because behind the scenes of that whole border issue is the president is now going to allow insurance companies to offer these skinny plans that essentially offer nothing more than an insurance card to say that, well, you have insurance, but if you try and access it, for crying out loud, the deductibles are sky high, the co-payments are unbelievable. They really don't even offer a lot of things that Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act had guaranteed in order for something to call itself a health plan in the first place. And now people are able to purchase these a la carte packages and this and that. And the reason why that was like really, really a ugly situation, I had to address that in this particular podcast, is because a woman in Boston a few days ago caught her leg between the gap and the train and the actual platform. It slipped through and it was like really jacked up. I'm talking about, you could see bone and flesh and this and that, and citizens coming to her aid as human beings will. Look, we got to get her some help, and they help pull her out, and they can see how bad this injury is. Call an ambulance is the first thing people says, right? And I said, well, that makes sense, for crying out loud. This is an emergency situation. The woman says, no, please stop, don't. I can't afford it. And so I did a little research. What are you talking about? People on the platform, the same thing. What are you talking about, lady? You are jacked up. We can't get you there. You could die. And she says, I can't afford it. You don't understand. I have lousy health care. And that brought me back to the whole plan that the president has been allowing these insurance companies to engage in by siphoning off members from Obamacare and giving them, look, you could just purchase this stuff. If you don't need it, forget about it. Just take this. You got some insurance. At least you got something. But that something is generally nothing when you have to use it. If this woman, because I did some research, and I found out that for 2 miles, if they have to take you 2 miles from the point that they pick you up and drop you off at a hospital, $2,700. 4 miles, $3,800. And this woman is saying, look, I can't afford it. So I don't know what she intended to do. I don't know whether they put her on a bicycle and she bicycled her way to the hospital with a freaking severed. I don't know. I didn't get to the bottom of the story. I was so amazed at that. But that's one of the things. So if if you find yourself in a situation where, kind of like back this whole thing up with regards to the Maxine Waters story, if you find yourself in a situation where you actually see one of these people out there, say for instance you happen to run into somebody that heads up one of these departments, and you want to let them know, look, you suck. Now, you don't have to say it that way. We want to keep things civil. We want to keep it civil. Because then you got security guys coming around and, hey, what's your name? We're going to come and get you. That sounded like a threat. Oh, my goodness. But take care. Because, I think I went on long with this, but there's a lot of meat on these bones to be exposed, because this story goes beyond just Maxine Waters and what she said, and the fact that she did have an impact, with the whole Scott Pruitt being kicked to the curb based on his activities and everything like that. But the fact that the Democratic Party, the leadership, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, they failed to protect her, as a letter signed by 200 black women in the Democratic Party or whatever says, look, you know what? You guys kind of like threw her under the bus. And I was wondering, yeah, why did they do that? That was an issue that they could have like stuck with, got some mileage out of, but they didn't. And you know what I think? Because there is a split in the Democratic Party right now. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention, but the Democratic Party is not all of that together, and it hasn't been for at least 2, 3, maybe 4 years. There's a socialist wing, the progressive wing, and then there's the establishment wing, or the more traditional wing of the Democratic parties, and they are at odds with each other. And the last thing that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer would want to see at any point in this game is people coming up to them and saying, you know what, we don't think that you guys are really fighting hard enough for universal health care. We don't think you guys got enough energy into free college tuition. We don't think you guys are backing $15 an hour or a living wage as opposed to a minimum wage enough. We don't think you guys fought as hard as you could to stop the advancement of the military budget, and you could have fought a lot harder for the DACA kids when you had the opportunity to do so. And so, you know what? We don't think you guys have fought hard enough for the legalization of marijuana, or you've been talking enough about reforms for in the justice. The justice reforms for people of color. You know, we don't think you guys have done enough at all. At least you're just a little bit too much to the center on those things. And we don't need incremental change. We need radical change. We need revolutionary change. That's what we need. That's what we're looking for. That's what the youth, the millennials, are fighting for. And so if you're not on board with the future, that means that you're standing in the way. And if those types of messages are given out by the people towards people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, of course they want to shut that kind of behavior down. Because that kind of behavior isn't just reserved for the right, it's also reserved for the left as well, especially the left. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I know we went over, we always do, I always do, but I got a ton of notes here. I'm trying to get all of this stuff to you guys because you need to know this stuff. An alternative perspective. That's what I do. Issues Under Fire. Monday through Friday. Get over to issuesunderfire.com or retrovisionmedia.com/issuesunderfire and see what we got for you. All right? Let me get out of here. I never know where this button is. I never know where it is. Oh, there you go.